Hi there. This is a video over Math 8, Unit 0, Section 4, Solving Equations Applications. Okay, and applications means we're going to be doing word problems. So, I want to take a look at this one standard here. Use variables to represent quantities in a real world or mathematical problem. Construct simple equations and inequalities to solve problems by reasoning about the quantities. Okay, so basically, we're going to be setting up equations for two-step equations and for multi-step equations. So I first want to talk about this first example, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and read through this. And it says, Claire bought 8 tickets for a total of $104. She had used a coupon code to get $3 off each ticket. Let X be the original cost of each ticket. Write an equation that represents the situation. What is the original cost of each ticket? So, a couple things that we've got to do. All right, we want to write an equation that represents the situation. All right, and we want to answer the question. And I always want to do this. I always want to highlight the question. What is the original cost of each ticket? So what we don't know is we don't know what the tickets are. And we also are given that let X be the original cost of each ticket. So a lot of this information is already here, but what we can do, the first thing that I want to do is identify what does X represent. And in this case, that is the original cost of each ticket. Okay? Now from here, I want to, once I've done that, that's what we're trying to figure out, write an equation that represents the situation. So let's talk about this. Claire bought 8 tickets, all right? A total cost of $104, and she had a coupon code to get $3 off each ticket. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to look at this information here, 8 tickets, all right, total cost of $104, and then she got a coupon code to get $3 off each ticket. So what I want to do is look at it like this. I have 8 times the original cost of each ticket, so 8x. And then because we have a coupon for $3 off each ticket, what I want to do is I'm going to subtract $3 times the number of tickets, which in this case is 8, and then set that equal to the total cost of $104. This is the equation that I want to set up, okay? And so now we just want to solve this equation. First thing I want to do is do 3 times 8. So I'm going to drop down 8x minus 24 is equal to 104. All right, from here, I'm going to add 24 to both sides and solve this equation. All right, so up over here, we're going to have 8x is equal to 128. And then I'm going to divide both sides of this equation by 8. And so then I get that x is equal to 16. So what I really want to do, even though I solve for x, I want to figure out, well, let's put this in terms of let's interpret this answer. What is the original cost of each ticket? Okay, x is the original cost of each ticket. So what we can say is that the original cost of each ticket is $16. And that is how we want to formulate our answer. Anytime we have a word problem, we want to answer that question with some sort of sentence that tells us to answer that question. Okay, what is the original cost of that ticket? Okay, all right, let's take a look at this next one. All right, and so this one says, at the thrift store, Ty buys a vest that is 22% off and office supplies that are reduced to $20.42. Ty spends a total of $46. Let K represent the cost of the vest. Write an equation that represents the cost of Ty's shopping trip. There shouldn't be a question mark there. And it says, what is the cost of the vest? So let's take that off and then add it on over here. Okay, So it tells us what, let K represent the cost of the vest. It's also asking us that question here. What is the cost of the vest? So I'm going to come in here and identify my variables. K represents the cost of the vest. All right. Now, we also know that the vest is 22% off. Okay. And the office supplies are reduced to $20.42. And then we spend a total of $46. All right. So from all this information, I've got a couple things. What I want to think about is set this up, and we have the vest plus office supplies equals the total, okay? Now, if we think about the vest, we have 22% off the vest. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the cost of the vest, and I'm going to take off, so minus 22% of the vest, so 0.22 times K, okay? And then I'm going to add in the cost of the office supplies, which in this case is $20.42, and that's going to be equal to a total of $46, okay? This is the part that's tricky, okay? Because in order for me to take off 22%, I have to take 22% of the original cost of the vest and subtract it from that cost of the vest. So now what we have is we do have a multi-step equation here. And what I want to do is combine our like terms here. And right here, out front of the K is a 1. So 1K minus 0.22K means that we're going to get 0.78K plus $20.42 is equal to 46. So now we just have a two-step equation from here. I'm going to subtract 20.42 from both sides. All right, and then we end up getting 0.78K is equal to $25.58. Okay, now let's divide by 0.78 on both sides, 0.78. And it ends up giving us that K is equal to, now I'm going to round to 2 decimal places here. We get 32.7948. Because I'm rounding to this spot, I'm looking at this number here to the right, which is my 4. And so the original cost of the vest is $32.79. All right, so we would want to actually write that out. Now, I know that I have more room on my screen than you do on your paper, but just make sure you're writing small here, okay? So the original, or the cost, the vest costs $32.79, all right? And that's what we can do here, all right? Let's take a look at the last one on this page. And so this one reads, the number of trumpet players is 2 more than 1/4 of the entire band. If there are 18 trumpet players, then how many students are in the band? So the question is asking us how many students are in the band. So that's going to help me identify what my variable is. So I'm going to call that X, and that's the number of students in the band. All right. And so from here, what I want to do is come up with, use this phrase here to help me write an expression. 2 more than 1/4 of the entire band is the number of trumpet players. Okay. And we know that the number of trumpet players is 18. So what we can say here is we can set up this equation and say 18 trumpet players is, because is an indication that that's an equal sign. All right, 2 more, so 2 plus 1/4 of the entire band. So I'm going to call this 1/4 and then times x. And we can solve this equation for x. So what I want to do, first step, is subtract 2 from both sides. And then I get 18 minus 2, which is 16, is equal to 1/4 times x. Now from here, I'd want to multiply both sides of this equation by 4. All right, so then we get that x is equal to 64. So to answer this question, how many students are in the band, you could say there are 16 students in the band. Okay? On the next page, these are going to be problems that deal with multi-step equations, all right? And you'll notice that there's something a little bit different about this. Now, let's read this. Kelsey has a balance of $550 and withdraws $25 per week from her bank account. Chris has a balance of $10 in his bank account. Each week, Chris deposits $15 of his allowance and $20 earned from dog walking each week into his bank account. After how many weeks will they have the same amount of money in the bank? So the question is, after how many weeks will they have the same amount of money in the bank? So if I look at this, I don't know how many weeks there are. So I'm going to let that be my variable. I'm going to say that W represents the number of weeks. Now we have two scenarios here, all right? We've got a scenario with Kelsey has a balance of $550 and withdraws $25 per week from her bank account. We have another scenario for Chris. Chris has a balance of $10, and each week Chris deposits $15 of his allowance and $20 earned from walking a dog each week into his bank account. So we've got the scenario for Kelsey, all right? And so if I write down Kelsey, I can say that the amount of money in her bank account is equal to taking the initial amount, which is $550, and when I think of this word withdraw, that means that you take money out. So we're going to subtract $25 per week, so 25W. Now we've got one for Chris, all right, and it's going to be the same thing, except for Chris, their amount starts off with $10, all right? So we're going to put 10 here. And then each week they deposit, and deposit means that they add money. Now $15 of his allowance, so plus $15 per week, and then plus another $20 per week. Okay? So now what I can do is it says, after how many weeks will they have the same amount of money in the bank? So we have this equation for the amount of money that Kelsey has, and we have an equation for the amount of money that Chris has. What I want to do is set these two equal to each other and solve for W. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do 550 minus 25W is equal to 10 plus 15W plus 20W. And I want to solve this equation for W. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to combine my like terms here and here. So 15 plus 20W is going to give me a total of 35W. So I'm just combining those like terms. And I've got 550 minus 25W. Now, to solve this, what I would do is I would add 25W to this right side of the equation. So I would add 25W, add 25W, and I end up getting 550 is equal to 10 plus 60W. I would then subtract 10 from both sides, and that would give me 540 is equal to 60W. Now my last step here would be to divide both sides by 60, and that would end up giving me that the W is equal to 9. Now let's go back and let's figure out what this all means in terms of the context of the problem. So what I would say is that after 9 weeks, they have the same amount of money. Okay? And that's how I would answer that question. All right, let's take a look at this last one here. On this one, is very similar. It says that Betsy has $799 in a personal bank account and then withdraws $7 per week. Carlos has $29 in a personal bank account and then deposits $70 earned from selling handicrafts each week. After how many weeks will they have the same amount of money in the bank? So it's really asking the same question. And so, just to reiterate, the question is, after how many weeks will they have the same amount of money in the bank? So what we don't know is W, the number of weeks. Okay? So we've got the scenario for Betsy. Now, Betsy has $799 in a personal bank account and then withdraws $7 per week. So Betsy's amount is equal to $799 minus 7W. Okay? And then we've got a situation for Carlos. So Carlos, his amount has $29 in it, and then he deposits $70 per week. All right? So because these two amounts are the same, or we're trying to figure out after how many weeks do they have the same amount of money, I want to take these two parts and set them equal to each other. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this equation that says 799 minus 7W is equal to 29 plus 70W. And the first thing that I'm going to do to solve this equation is I'm going to add 7W to both sides. All right? And I'm choosing the path of least resistance when I'm solving this equation. Okay? So you can really move around whatever, but this is how I would approach it. All right? Then I'm drop down my 799 is equal to 29 plus 77W. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 29 from both sides. All right? So if I take 799 minus 29, that's going to give me 770, and that's going to be equal to 77W. From here, I divide both sides by 77 and just solve this equation, and I end up getting that W is equal to 10. Now, in context of the problem, remember what W represents. W represents the number of weeks. So, to answer this question, I would say after 10 weeks, they have the same amount of money in their bank. All right, so same amount of money. All right, and that's how you would answer these questions. All right, so this is it for the video. Hopefully tonight you enjoyed this and you understand it. If not, please let me know and we can talk about this. Thanks. Bye.